I'm the Book Baron. Welcome in, everybody. So today, what are we doing? We are going to be doing comfort reads because I've been thinking a lot about what my comfort reads are, in particularly thinking about the comfort series, the series that I go to when I just absolutely need a win and everything I'm reading seems to suck, or I think I'm on the verge of a reading slump, or I am traveling and I need something bite-sized on the plane, or I'm on a work trip and I just need to disassociate from whatever the hell that day was. Any times like that, these are series that I like to turn to because they are a guaranteed win. Even if it's a 3-star, I'm still gonna enjoy my time reading. When I say comfort read, I do not mean sweet or light or cozy. When have I ever been that reader? And I think we all know that if you've been here for any length of time. These are series that are so good. I could binge them, but I saved them strategically for a rainy day. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about why they work for me, a bit about the first book so you can kind of get a sense for the series, and also let you know how far I am into the series because I will not be held responsible for any of the books that are further in. I haven't read those, I don't know her. Also, if my mood seems off, this is my second time having to film this. I'm a little bit cranky about that. You guys, that filming process went so bad because remember famously in my last video when I was like, I think I have allergies or something. It's or something. I'm just straight up sick. My voice, my throat, oh, she's raw. She gave out in the middle of the last time that I tried to record this. I also just looked atrocious because I tried a new wax stick to slick my hair back. It was giving greasy. The hair was diabolical. And then on top of that, I had a dry patch of skin that cropped up in the middle of filming was so large. I didn't want to continue editing that video because it was so distracted. It was like that scene from Austin Powers where they're like, mole, 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 mole. Yeah, all that said, we are here now. We're hoping that my voice hangs in there for this. Also, it's worth mentioning that this was a much longer outline. It included books that I like to reread in whole or in part and authors. So if you want to see that, let me know. I can absolutely put that together for you, but I will leave that up to the people. But for now, we are focusing on series. That's too many S's, but that's okay. Let's jump into the books. So the first book that I have, no, not book, girl. We're talking about series, remember? Get it on lock. So the first series that I have for you is the Kindled series by Claire Kent. So this one is one that I turn to time and time and time again for multiple reasons. I have just read the 4th book somewhat recently. I love survival books, especially when I'm stressed or I just need something to really take me away from whatever's going on currently and really distract me. Those are the types of books that I like because they are simultaneously cozy because wherever we're starting out is usually this kind of like small world. We're in a cabin, we're in a bunker, we are somewhere where we've been surviving for a little bit and we know the people around us really, really well because that's important for survival, but the outside world is scary. It gives a very us versus them, we have to band together feeling, especially within the romance, which I love. The characters know a ton about each other and can predict their behavior. Oh, I love that. And whenever I read these books, I keep thinking about how like, wow, my life could be so much worse. I could have to survive the apocalypse instead of just trying to distract myself on a plane where I'm desperately trying not to read the pamphlet that's in the back of the seat that tells me about the life vest that I might have to use if we go over water, because that's none of my business and I don't want to know that. Anyways. It could be worse because I could be in an apocalypse and I absolutely would not survive that. Have you seen me? But these books also have the added benefit of being like long-ish novellas. So this is perfect for a couple reasons. One, novellas a lot of times are a little bit too short, but because this is like more on the like 200, 250 page length, it has all the benefits of having basically a full story, like a full novel, but it's shorter so you can read them quickly in bite-sized amounts. So like on a plane, I can read it real quick. Or if I'm feeling a little bit slumpy, I feel like I have kind of a quick win where I'm like, wow, I just burned through that book so quickly. I feel a little bit more like I'm back on track than I'm back in it with reading. I do recommend starting with Last Light if you are okay reading a full-length novel because it does set up the world pretty good, but you can absolutely start with Haven, which is the first novella in this series. I am going to tell you about Haven because that is technically where we start. And this one is a friends with benefits story. Basically, the setup for this world, an asteroid has hit the planet and it has caused catastrophic changes to the climate, to society, because crops aren't growing, animals are dying. So society on the whole has completely collapsed and everyone's just kind of trying to survive in whatever capacity that they can. So when we start off in this book, we are on a self-sustaining farm and we find out that this was run by a family and their foster kids, but has been more recently expanded to take on more people, although they are very selective about it in the after times. More or less, they're kind of continuing their operations the way they've always lived before the fall of society, but now it's walled off and they have to be really protective of their property and like fight people off because they have food, water, and machinery and like automobiles and stuff like that, which are a hot commodity. Our heroine was the daughter of the people that initially started this self-sustaining farm, and the hero was there in the before times as well. So they've kind of become the de facto leaders after her parents have passed. And they're the ones that really keep the operations running, keep everything going, because their options are really limited just given their position on the farm and also like not really having access to people outside the farm. They've developed a little bit of a friends with benefits situation because, you know, they both have some itches they gotta scratch, but it's all business, no feelings, because we have to be focused on running this farm and survival. I absolutely adore this series. There is something about being back in this world that's so comforting. I can immediately get back into the books. I know what to kind of expect. Not that all the stories are the same, but it does hit kind of certain beats, so there's a familiarity with that. And I always like that although Claire Kent will often incorporate spice earlier on in her books, she does have the ability to maintain tension within the relationship because, you know, everyone's kind of got like one foot out the door emotionally because we're in survival mode. You have to be able to pivot and make changes, and you can't have things that you really want no matter how bad you want them. So that is my first one. I think my favorite out of the series so far has been the second book where they are in a bunker and the heroine's father was very, very rich. And next up is kind of similar, but definitely has its own flavor. This is Prison Planet by Emmy Chandler. So similar in that it's got a survival element, but this is on a prison planet, as the name of the series does suggest. So each book in this series has a slightly different flavor because there's different zones that this prison planet is busted up into. Some of it is like survival and wilderness based, and some of it, they're like deadliest game style, like running away from people hunting them down. Other ones, it's gladiator style competitions. It kind of depends on the type of sentence that determines what zone they end up in. So right now, I just got done reading the novella, which is 3.5, so between books 3 and 4. There is sort of an overarching plot, so I do recommend reading this series in order. So the reason that I like this one is because, again, we do have the survival element. We do have these two kind of like banding together because they either have to go up against guards and the government or other criminals. So there's a lot of external threats. And so a lot of times these two kind of get thrown together out of necessity, but then end up falling in love because, you know, like how could they not with all this forced proximity? But also it does have some fun sci-fi elements as well. Rodon, the planet that they're on, all the foliage is red instead of green. There's different types of weapons and shuttles that gives that little bit of sci-fi, that little bit of otherworldly feeling. And so there's just like enough that it kind of pulls you out. So the first book in this series, before I put the cover up, guys, I need you to be prepared. I hate the covers in this series. They're diabolical. This one in particular, I think is the worst offender because the man on the cover of this one looks like a roided out Elvis impersonator and I hate it. I'm warning you, this one's a jump scare. Get ready. Are you okay? Is everyone seated? Okay, here it comes.
Oh my God, what is that?
Yeah, it's bad. But I promise the contents are so good. The first book, as the cover suggests, is The Guardian. This one is very much survivalist based, like we're in the wilderness. Audra is newly convicted, and when the book opens, we join her on the ship that is bringing her to Rodon planet because it's very isolated. Rodon has different zones, as I mentioned, and they're divided up, and so it prevents like overcrowding, but also your assignment can depend on the type of sentence that you've been given. Our heroine ends up in zone 4, which has some settlements, but is largely wild. wild. Settlement A is for the men, settlement B is for the women. The women have a bit of an agreement so that the men do not continuously attack them and there can be some semblance of peace. Whenever there's a new shipment or new incoming women, they select a handful of them to go over to the men's camp and serve a certain additional sentence. These women are given over to the men for a period of about 6 weeks, basically until the next shipment of women comes in. They get to pick the prisoner that they are paired up with in exchange for her goodies, you know what I'm saying? They should also provide the goods, which are food, shelter, safety. Hopefully, if you pick wrong, you can be stolen, capture the flag style multiple times over. Also, better pick a good one because like they can do whatever. And so if they're nasty, nasty men, it's gonna be a bad time for you, girl. So Audra ends up realizing she needs to be really strategic about who she picks. And so she notices a massive loner that is off in the corner. And she's like, this seems like my ticket to safety. I really enjoy this series because every book has a little bit of a different flavor. You never quite know what to expect, but you know that the system is going to be corrupt. I like that there's the tension of you're surrounded by all of these criminals that are kind of out for themselves because they kind of willy-nilly sentence people to this planet. You can find some good people, but it's not everybody. So you have to be so careful. I just think there's so much about these that is so fun. And then you just have that like little whisper of sci-fi, that little bit of extra something that makes it different than just kind of like a typical survival novel that you might get if it was set on Earth. Next up, I have something that is completely different and a series that I don't often talk about, and it is the Nashville Neighbors series by Nikki Sloane. This series is spicy. Probably don't want to read this one on a plane. Basically, the premise of this is that all of these are very lightly interconnected through this neighborhood in Nashville. You got it. Great job, everybody. The interconnectedness of these books is like pretty light. There's also kind of like an HOA factor, but we choose to ignore her because that stuff, we don't care about that. But like, for example, like the son in book 1 will be the hero in book 5. Or the hero in book 4 is book 5's best friend. So there's stuff like that. It's very light. Sometimes they make little cameos, but it's nothing too crazy. So you can absolutely read these ones out of order. I have read books 1, 2, and 4. I think there's 6 books total in this series. And I know the other ones that I've talked about, the first book in the series, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that book would hook you. I think you'll appreciate it after you've read some of the other books in the series, but I don't think it's gonna be the one that like draws you in. So I'm actually gonna recommend book 4 because that one's my favorite. It's so good. And that is The Frat Boy. So this one involves sexual work and it's very much enemies to lovers. Colin and Madison are part of Greek life at college, and I need you to hang in through this part because you're gonna meet them and you're gonna be like, both of you are dumb. And I hate it here because like they're way too invested in Greek life. Guys, these competitions are made up and they take them way too serious. They're participating in Greek week activities and there has been escalating tensions between their houses because they're fighting for some prize money and they both have very different reasons for why they want to obtain that money. Both have good reasons. It's made the competition even more serious than it really needs to be. Our hero and heroine end up getting into it real bad, like a for real fight during a relay race, ends up getting them both kicked out of their houses, like where they were staying, not only out of the sorority or fraternity that they were a part of, but also the house where they were living because that was owned by fraternity or sorority that they were a part of. So now they find themselves without their friends and also in need of housing, and like school's already started, so they need to find it quickly. They both end up finding an ad that offers free room and board in exchange for working at a spicy content house. Both of them are like, excellent, I have found my ticket out, until they realize that the other person has also applied. Their audition involves doing a scene together. These setups are always very fun, a little bit tropey, a little bit wild and out there, but always a good time. Nikki Sloane really does a great job of using spice to advance the relationship and use it to like show how their feelings are changing. So even though it's high spice, I still feel like there's a lot of emotional and relationship development that comes out of these stories. Some of the stories are more plot heavy than others, but for the most part, it's just about the spice. Next up, I have something that is way, way different, and it's a mafia series, Born in Blood by Cora Reilly. So the reason that I really like this series for a comfort read is because it's classic mafia. I know exactly what to expect from this type of world, from these types of stories. I know what the rules are, and these books are once again on the shorter side, so they can be read in a couple of sittings. I've only read 2 books in this series so far. I'm definitely saving some of these for travel and flights and slumps because these aren't as spice heavy. These are very good for planes. I also tend to find mafia books comforting because it's been one of my favorite subgenres within dark romance, and also doesn't get like too dark typically. It's enough to keep me invested as a dark romance reader, but not enough where I'm like, oh my god, what's happening? And I'm like in a middle seat. So the first book in the series is Bound by Honor, and this is an arranged marriage story. Aria is the daughter of a very high up member in the Chicago outfit, and they've always kind of been at odds with the mafia out in New York City. But they're both now experiencing other groups kind of encroaching on their territory. I believe it's the Russians and maybe the Irish. So they're like, we need to team up. And the best way to do that is to arrange a marriage between 2 very high up people's children between these 2 groups. So Luca is the capo son, and Aria's dad is not quite as high up, but she's very coveted for her looks because she's like blonde, and that's somewhat rare among the Italians. Before they marry, they really haven't had any conversations, so what they know about each other are the rumors. And the rumors about Luca are that he's very violent. She's terrified and wants to find a way to escape. But, you know, that's not really a possibility because this is an arranged marriage. Both of these mafia groups are really relying on them for this all to work. So they have to figure out how to make this situation work for them. So like I said, it's truly classic in the setup. The rules are very classic. I think the stories from this are kind of the blueprint that a lot of other mafia stories are based off. And I think for that reason, I just really find them comforting. Plus, you always know that you're going to get an alpha male that's like taking care of business. That's really nice in a comfort read because the last thing I want to be doing is having to take care of shit myself. You know what I'm saying? So next up I have the Morelli Family series, and this is by Sam Mariano. Now this is kind of similar in that technically this is also mafia, and that definitely plays a role, but it's not traditional mafia. This is more about this messed up mafia family and all the shenanigans and the mind games that they play. And part of the reason that this one worked so well and continues to work so well for me is because you have to be paying attention, because you never know what people's intentions are, and you're looking for little clues as to whether something is a test, manipulation, or whether someone's being truthful in what they're saying, who's on whose side. And also, the books tend to be on the shorter side, except for there's one book that is like long, and it's because it covers like a really long timeline. But a lot of these books, about halfway through, even with them being as short as they are, will switch the plot a little bit. It keeps you engaged, keeps you entertained. There's never any downtime. There's lots of action, fast paced, it's entertaining. It's a train wreck that you just absolutely cannot look away from. Each of the books follows a different couple up until a certain point. I think maybe book 5, it starts following a couple that you notice is like the couple of the series. Their story has been kind of overarching the rest of the books, so I highly recommend not looking up synopses and definitely read these in order. I have read the entire like core series, which I think is 7 books. I just have Mateo's perspective, and he's the head of the family, and then his brother's book, which are more interconnected. The rest of them are the actual like series. The first book in the series is Accidental Witness, and we have our heroine Mia, who witnesses something she shouldn't have, a crime. It involves a classmate, Vince, and like these 2 make eye contact. He knows that she knows, and she's like, oh no, I'm in trouble, because there are whispers about how dangerous his family is, and they don't leave witnesses. She's trying to keep her head down. She's like going to class, and she's just like, no one pay attention to me, and she's kind of just waiting for him to like come and take care of business. But it turns out he can't quite bring himself to do it. He's very intrigued by Mia. He starts getting involved with her, but unfortunately you can't disentangle Vince from his family. If he's involved with her, they're gonna be involved as well. And there are some twisted games afoot. It's really crazy talking about this book, just knowing where the plot goes. Even within this first book, the one thing that I'll warn you about is that the beginning of this book, it feels like things move a little bit quickly with the relationship. I don't think it necessarily feels instant. Hang in there, because where it gets good is when the family gets introduced, because that's where it gets messy. All right, last one last series that I'll be talking about is the Black Dagger Brotherhood, which is by J.R. Ward. Oh, this is nostalgia in a series. This is so good. So this is a series that I don't talk a ton about, but I used to read from regularly. This is like 2010s classic paranormal, give me vampires, broken men that are down bad for their women, but also must protect vampire kind. This to me is just absolutely nostalgic. I love being able to jump back into this world because like you don't have to totally remember a ton about what's happened in the previous books in order to enjoy books as you go through them. They're a little bit on the formulaic side, so they're easy to jump back in. I've read up to book 9. Clearly, I have not gotten sick of the series, and there's like 20 odd books. Like J.R. Ward is still publishing in the series. Like you are not going to run out of books. Basically, the setup for this series is that you have the Black Dagger Brotherhood, which is an elite group of like warrior vampires that are dedicated to protecting the rest of vampire kind from what's called the Lessening Society. They smell like baby powder. They lose all color in their skin, in their hair. Like these are white, white, white. Basically, it seems like they sell their souls or something like that. But they're trying to come after the vampires. In the first book, which is called Dark Lover, this follows the last purebred vampire that is left, who is the head of this brotherhood. He's also blind, which is just a fun and interesting detail, but he is trying to go after some folks for the death of his parents and avenge them. That happened kind of a while ago, so this battle's been going on for a minute. And in the process, he ends up losing one of his warriors. He then becomes responsible for this guy's half-vampire daughter who knows nothing about the vampire side of her DNA. She knows nothing about vampire society. She thinks she is full-blooded human, but she's about to find out. And so he's like, I need to go help her, especially now that her father is gone and isn't here to shepherd her into their world. Beth, meanwhile, I think she's a crime journalist for the newspaper, and she is like, something's going on with me. I'm not feeling right. She's all hot and bothered. She's feeling really restless. And this is when a very sexy man with wraparound sunglasses, we choose to ignore that part. This guy keeps turning up at her apartment in the middle of the night, and she's got some questions, to say the least. The nostalgia factor is so strong with these. Like just thinking about reading these books, immediately I get the warm fuzzies. A while back, I binged like a bunch of the books right in a row because I just could not stop reading. There's nothing better than some broken down heroes that are alpha to the extreme, but down bad for the women. I love it. It's so good. And then add in vampires. Like what more could a girl want? All right, so those are some of my comfort reads. The series that I turn to when I just absolutely need a win. Let me know if you want me to do more of these types of videos. Like I said, I have like an outline that has like books I reread and also has some authors that I turn to often. So let me know if you want that. Also, let me know what you look for in comfort reads. Like what makes something a comfort read for you? Is it just like being low angst and tension? Does it need to be a fantasy? What makes something a comfort read? And also what your comfort reads are. Let me know down below. But with all of that, thank you so much for being here. Can we get a round of applause for my throat who survived this time around? Thank goodness. Gonna go drink some hot tea after this. Don't forget to give this video a like. My throat deserves it. She was hanging in there. And don't forget to subscribe if you would like more content from me. But if not, that's totally okay. Thanks for joining us for this video. And I really, really, really do hope I see you on my next video. Bye-bye.